I'm not on the block. I built the block with Juan and others. You know what I'm saying? So that is the thing that I'm trying to explain to you.
The Music Institute was started by 4 young guys with just a heavy-duty background in partying and house music. Myself, Alton Miller, Anthony Pearson, and my brother-in-law, Frank Moore.
They would rent out space in these buildings.
And it was in the inner city, downtown. There was a lot of black people going to this Music Institute, which was where Derek, Kevin, and those guys used to spend.
Most clubs at that time in Detroit was either punk, top 40, or alternative type things, you know, and then here comes the Institute, which was new, it was different.
But it was electronic music. And that's where the music got its real, that's where it vaulted from one level to the next.
It was new to everybody.
This club was like a shrine overnight. People came from nowhere with no promotion. They just came.
You know, my brother and I waited there, we got our memberships, and we went in and we danced because we knew we loved this music. And we knew that it was the only place around the area. And at that time, one of the only places on the planet that you could hear this type of music that pure.
We didn't know who we would cater to. We didn't know what the heck would happen.
I mean, this place was open from midnight until 6 in the morning.
They let the kids out of the place at 6 o'clock in the morning, sweaty and beat up.
And there was no drugs in there. Kids smoked their weed, they had their drink before they came in, and it was all love in the building.
I had no idea it was as influential as it was at the time. Derek has had to sit me down and say, George, man, this is what happened.
It was really beautiful. And it was truly the first real underground techno club in the world.
Wow, is that right? That's incredible.
It was just a dark hole with a strobe light, and it was rocking. I think one of the things that probably also had a big impact on how we got here is electrifying Mojo.
There was a guy named Mojo. I only get a minute. So with this minute, I hope I can try to get as much as I can in. Mojo was more than an inspiration. He was a door. And he opened, and out came all these weird, creative things that just like fell on us, and somehow, oof, I still got like creative pops.
They're coming for me right now. That's my limo. And Mojo's in the limo, as a matter of fact.
My name is Electrifying Mojo. I spent my life as pretty much an observer of life. I had a rare opportunity to take all of those observations and convert them into music every night on the radio.
Basically played what he wanted to play.
And he was playing Prince and Peter Frampton and all that kind of stuff. 85, 86, I was listening to Juan, or Juan's music was being played on Mojo's station, or program, heavily.
It was always about the music. Is it hot or is it not? And if it was not, no amount of money or influence could interest me, period.
And you couldn't really break a record in Detroit without him playing your record. So he was that powerful.
Yeah, Mojo was the one that discovered Jeff Mills. Of course, he was the wizard then. He became Jeff Mills later.
He knew he was playing to black people, but he insisted upon playing this music anyway, because this is not what black radio was playing during the day. He went completely against the grain, and he had #1 ratings across the board.
People like Juan Atkins, Derek May, Eddie Fowlkes, Kevin Saunderson, all those people, you know, they proved everybody wrong because they were able to be vocal enough to say, hey, Mojo, we are listening. And that gave me a lot of inspiration and a lot of encouragement. So, you know, as much as they say I inspired them, it was definitely a reciprocal process.
Neil Rushton, that he would eventually be our manager, myself, Kevin, and Juan. And he said, I would love to have you come over here and talk to you more about your music and see if we could develop a relationship and try to help you get a record deal. I was floored.
As far as I'm concerned, he was one of the first outsiders that actually came into the circle and was interested in the music and actually had a business direction for it.
You know, because actually, New Photo was the record that Neil Rustin came over here and picked up. That was the first record he actually heard, which was Derek's record.
I talked to my mother. I said, should I get on the plane? Should I buy my own ticket? She said, it's up to you. You do what you think is best, but I think you should do it. I said to Kevin, what do you think I should do? Kevin said, do it. Pay the money, go. Juan said, no, don't go. Don't do it. If they can't pay your way, you don't go. Now, I actually would normally weigh Juan's decision more than I would weigh even my own mother's decision at that point in my life. I decided to go. I got on the plane. I went to England. I paid my own money for the first trip to meet this man who would eventually help us do many things, remixes, productions. He would help Kevin Saunderson eventually get his inner city deal where Kevin made Big Fun and Good Life and was going to sell 6 or 7 million albums. He would help Juan get the remixes and the production he wanted and the sort of press and respect that we needed. We would get the major article in Face magazine, which really just launched us. So it was a good thing to get on that plane, and that was a good day.
You know, when you getting into the music business, you're gonna get screwed over early on until you know. Until you know, you don't know.
It's like Neil kind of made us turn against each other. It's like, you know, when when the money came into the picture, it started out, we were all cool. We were all friends and stuff. Like, I trusted Kevin to make right decisions. I kind of trusted Derek, but, you know, once he brought us over to the UK, everyone got greedy, and he kind of fed off that, I think.
And that tension that existed between all of the egos was part of it. Not necessarily a fun part of it, but it was a part of it. And those guys went at it on a constant basis. Backbiting, backstabbing, shit talking. Who could spin, who couldn't spin, who cleared the floor, who didn't clear the floor, who knew the true, masters, what their interpretation of the music was, what was his interpretation of the music. Did he have a clue? Did he have a clue?
I think, a lot of entities was like splitting us up, and we didn't know how big this music was blowing up over in Europe. Derek knew, Derek was the first one to go over there, so he knew. So, it was more like, trying to put how can I say it, trying to control some shit he didn't know how to control.